everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video, this fun owl lantern drawing. We'll do a lot of cool things to make these cutouts on this lantern and then add the glow behind it. So if you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you are interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra tutorials over on Patreon, so if you want to check that out, I have it linked in the description below. And then before we get started, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette. It's linked in the description below as well. It's totally free to download. Download the file onto your iPad, open it up, and it will automatically pop into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. It might add it to the very bottom of your color palettes. I've been seeing that happen lately, so look out for that. It might just be, you might just have to scroll to the very bottom to find it. But other than that, there are no custom brushes or anything. We draw everything by hand with standard Procreate brushes, so nothing else to download. I will post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So just take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we will get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we will be working with today, so we will just go ahead and get right into it. We're going to do the background last. We're going to do our lantern first, just so we can see really well what we're drawing, since the background is also pretty dark. So we will just be on layer 1. We will have our first color on the first row of the color palette selected. We will go to the monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. We'll have that set to like 20%, and we are going to turn on Symmetry to draw our lantern. So under the gear icon, under Canvas, click to turn on our drawing guide, click Edit Drawing Guide, set it to Symmetry, and then you should see a vertical line here. If you do not, you might just need to select vertical under the options here, and click Done. And then on our layer menu now, this layer that we're on should say Assisted. If it doesn't, just click on it and turn on Drawing Assist so the symmetry is active on this layer. Okay, and now we can get started. So we're just going to start a little ways down from the top of our canvas, right on our symmetry line, and we're just going to start drawing our outer lantern shape. So right about here, I'm just going to start, draw down and to the right a little bit to get a nice good angle. Hold that line down until it turns perfectly straight. And then you can touch your finger on the screen to set it to the same angle here, which is 3 up from vertical. So if you're on vertical, it's 1, 2, 3 out from that. Set just a little line here, nothing too crazy. Okay, let that go. Click Edit Line at the top if you need to. Most importantly, let's just make sure that these meet up nicely in the center here. So I'm just going to bring mine together a little better. Okay. Then from here, we'll start at the end of our line and go down a little bit in a straight vertical line. Hold it down again until it turns perfectly straight, and then touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly vertical. Again, pretty small line there. Again, edit at the top and adjust it so it meets up nicely on the corner there. Okay, we're going to do another triangular line. So starting at the end of this line, go out again. A little wider, hold it down, touch your finger on the screen to find that same angle that we did before. So 3 up from vertical. And again, just a good ways this time. Like so. Let it go. Click the line button at the top to adjust it. Make sure it meets up nicely with our previous line here in the corner. Okay, another good vertical line again. Starting from this point. Draw down pretty far, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen to make it perfectly vertical. Okay, I'm going to set it a good ways like this. Edit it if you need to make those line up better. Okay, and then now we'll make the bottom. So we're going to go out horizontally just a little bit from this line. So in horizontal, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. Click the line button to adjust it, make sure it meets up nicely there. Just again, a tiny little line there, and then we're going to have a nice, fun, kind of swoopy line to the middle. So I'm actually going to start on my center line a little bit higher than I am right here so that I can swoop down and then back to meet my line. So something like that. I'm going to redo it so it meets up nicer, but draw it nice and quickly to get a nice smooth line. draw it a couple times if you need to get a good shape. Okay, so I'll maybe end with something like this. And now that it's all connected, we can go ahead and fill it in. So this is our shape. I might make it a little bit taller. So with my arrow tool on either uniform or freeform, I'm going to set it to freeform. You can adjust your shape a little bit just to make sure that it stays on this center yellow line. So with snapping turn on in the bottom left, just make sure you're always centered vertically from left to right. So I'm just going to stretch it up a little bit, just make it a little bit taller, but do whatever you would like to with it. There should be a little bit of room on the top and a little bit of room on the bottom. So now we're going to start adding our details to the lantern. The first thing that we're going to do is add a little bit of a highlight to kind of separate our pieces and make them look a little more 3D. So to do that, we're going to go to our layer menu. We're going to add a layer right above this one, click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Grab the next color and line the second one on the top row. And we're going to switch our brush to the soft brush under the airbrushing category. So find that. Let's go ahead and set that to like 10%. And we're just going to kind of highlight the tops of our like horizontal pieces. So this little section here and then where it switches from triangle to vertical here. So to do that, we're going to, on this layer, grab our selection tool, set it to rectangle, make sure color fill is turned off. And we are just going to kind of create a selection on this top rectangle. So right where it switches from triangle to vertical line, I'm going to start there on the outside of my shape, drag it across, and then stop it right where it switches back to a triangle. So that just is kind of letting us select this area. Then I'll grab my pen tool, so you should see diagonal lines everywhere else. And then with my pen tool on our kind of lighter color, I am just going to kind of start drawing very, very lightly across the top here and then kind of let it fade out into our dark black colors. So it should be just a nice horizontal line starting there and then fade out as we get lower. Click your selection tool to turn that off. That's all we're going to do there. And then we'll do the same thing for this next section where it turns to vertical again. So same layer and everything, just grab our selection tool again. I'll start right here where it moves from triangle to vertical, so you might have to be zoomed out a little further, but just go ahead and hit that line there, drag it down a good ways so that that part's selected. Grab our brush and we'll just do the same thing. So I'll start just going horizontally across the top till we can kind of see that color come in, and I'll drag it down a good ways very, very lightly like so till we get maybe like a third of the way down. Okay. Selection tool to turn that off, and then this is what we are left with. So this just kind of helps make it look a little 3D. So now we are going to start making all of our cutouts and stuff. So let's just start with our main one, the circle with our trees and our owl, and then we'll add the stars and the moon last. So the first thing that we need to do is kind of get a circle cutout on our lantern here. So to do that, so that we can see through it and we're cutting it out of our actual black shape, we're going to add a new layer on our layer menu. Let's just grab this white color, the third one on the top row, and we will use that. Switch back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab at 20%, and we're just going to create a perfect circle here. So starting right in this lower area, just do a nice good circle, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Set a good size, and then go ahead and fill it in. Grab your arrow tool, make sure snapping is turned on in the bottom left, and then you can resize it if you need to on uniform. Otherwise, just snap it to our center yellow line, like so. Okay, and now that that's centered, I realize my lantern is still just way too wide. I don't want quite as much room on the sides. If you want to resize it further, now that our circle's in place, let's just grab our main lantern layer, the clipping mask as well. So slide right on the clipping mask, so that it is also selected. Grab your arrow tool on freeform, and I'm just going to skinny it up and then recenter it on our center yellow vertical line. Okay, just a little bit. We still want a good amount of room around it, just not quite as much as we had. Might make it even a little taller still. Now back to our circle layer. Let's just make sure that this is in a good spot. So again, move it around if you need to anymore now that you if you had to resize the lantern, and then just make sure it's centered on our center vertical yellow line. Okay, and then to get a cutout on our black shape, we are going to go to our layer menu, this circle layer, we'll click on it and click select. You should see diagonal lines outside of your circle shape. Go switch to our black color, your diagonal lines should still be on. Then we'll grab our arrow tool, it'll select the circle, and we'll drag it off the screen. So you should see a black circle, you're dragging it off the canvas, arrow tool, and then on your layer menu you should see a circle cut out of this shape. So now that that's done, we can get rid of our white circle that we drew. That was just to be able to cut out a shape out of our black layer. So we'll delete that. We'll go back to our lantern layer, and now we'll draw our design inside. So we'll add a new layer, drag our new layer below our lantern layer, and this is where we will draw our design. Let's be on our black color again, the first one on the first row, same monoline brush at 20%. And we're just going to start by drawing our ground with our bushes, and then our owl, and then we'll draw our trees around it. So first the ground, let's just draw a kind of horizontal line across the bottom here. Hold it down until it turns perfectly straight, and then touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. Click the edit line button if you need to move it around. I want it pretty low, just a little gap on the bottom there, but we want plenty of room above it. Okay, then from there, we'll just draw our bushes on the same layer. So I'm just going to start a little to the right of center. So leave a little bit of room in the center. That's where we'll draw our owl. So I'm going to leave a little gap there. And I'm just going to make some really small kind of curvy lines to create a bush. Connect it back to the beginning or to my line and then fill it in. We'll do the same thing on the left side here. So they're just kind of going off onto the side of our lantern, kind of outside our circle. Same thing on the left side, fill that in. So now we should have two little bushes there. Okay, then our owl, we'll draw that on a new layer. So go to our layer menu, add a new layer right above the layer that we're on. Same brush, same color, same everything. So we'll draw our owl in a few parts here. So the first part is going to be a circle for its head, or it's going to be a near circle. So I'm just going to start kind of up in the middle area here. Draw a nice kind of circle shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. You don't need to touch your finger on the screen, but then once you let it go, click this ellipse button at the top to adjust it. And I want it to be pretty close to a circle. It can be a tiny bit shorter from top to bottom. And then I want it to be like mostly horizontal. So something kind of like this, but a nice good size. And then fill it in. And since we're on a new layer, we can resize it and everything later if we need to. So, but let's just keep on going. So right from here, I'm going to draw another kind of oval shape like this. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. And then click the ellipse button at the top to adjust it. So this one I do want at kind of an angle like this, intersecting with its head, and a good nice size like this, quite a bit bigger than its head. But yeah, just kind of meeting up with the bottom of it. And then we'll go ahead and fill that in. Okay, I'm going to grab my arrow tool, I'm going to move it up a little further so we can see it more. So then on the bottom right side here, we're going to make the tail. So just sticking straight off, I'm just going to kind of make a little kind of triangular pointy line like that. I'll do another one kind of next to it, a little bit bigger. Maybe one more small one, like so. Make sure that's all filled in. Then we'll go to the head here and we'll make the ears. So I'm going to lower my brush a little bit. Let's lower it to like 10% so we can get some nice pointy ears. So then on the top here, I'm just going to make some little pointy ears, kind of like so. This left one I might do two to kind of show like a little feather there. Maybe I'll add like another small one on the right side so we get kind of like these two triangle shapes together to make like his ears and some feathery parts. Okay, then we just need to make his feet. So on the bottom here, towards the bottom, I'm just going to make another kind of curved line across the bottom like so. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Then I'm going to fill that in, so just add a little more there, and this is where his legs will connect. So I'm going to move it up a teeny tiny bit more to give me a little bit more room. I'm not going to focus on connecting to the ground, we can move it later, but just from this point on the right side, I'm going to go down this way, draw kind of a little thick area. Then we'll go back this way, a little thinner, and then flat. And then I'll do that again. So then on a little bit to the left, I'll do that again. Same angles and everything. So a kind of thicker area, thinner area. And a horizontal. Okay, that looks pretty good. His legs are a little long. I'm going to grab my selection tool on freehand and I'm just going to select right through the legs here. And I'm just going to move them up a little bit to make them a little shorter. And I'm just going to kind of smooth out whatever I changed here. Okay, that looks a little bit better. So make any other adjustments that you need to. Otherwise, this is our owl. So he looks good. I'm going to grab him with my selection tool on uniform. I'm going to downsize him a little bit and then place him on my ground here so his feet are just touching the ground. And you can just kind of place him wherever here next to our bushes. I don't want him running into the bushes, so I'll kind of place him to the left a teeny bit so his tail doesn't hit this bush. But he can be a nice good size like so. So that is our owl. Now we will move on to our trees to kind of finish off our circle area here. So we'll add another new layer on the layer menu, and we are just going to start kind of right where these bushes start, and we are going to just draw up on the right side here, draw up again. I'm not holding my lines down. I want them to be pretty like free form. So then I'm going to connect them at the top, connect it at the bottom. Since they're on its own layer, we're not actually connected to this bush or anything. And then so we can fill that in. So that's the start of our trunk, and then off of this, we're just going to kind of create some curvy lines that get thicker at the base of the tree. So just kind of some curvy lines like this. I'll start again, draw like another kind of curvy line, thicken it up at the base. Then off of this, we could have like another kind of curvy line. Like so. We'll do some off the other side, what we can see. Okay, so that's our right tree. We'll do the same thing on the left side, just, you know, a slightly different tree. So again, we'll make like a vertical line. And another vertical line, maybe a little skinnier this time. Connect them, fill them in. And then, yeah, we just kind of want to kind of fill out the rest of our picture. So I'll do another one over here. I'm not going to overlap with my other tree. But I just kind of want to add a little more to it there. And then I'm also not overlapping with my owl. So I'm just kind of avoiding him. Okay, so then that is it for our inner circle area. So just kind of finish that off, and then we will go ahead and move on. So we are now going to cut out the stars from this middle area. So we'll do a similar thing that we just did with our circle. So we'll go to our layer menu, let's add a layer at the very top, grab our white color, the third one on the top row, and same brush at 10%, we are going to draw a star. So I'm just going to start in this middle area here. I'm going to draw a regular star like I would normally would, hold it down until all the lines snap to perfectly straight lines. Then you can click this Edit Polyline button at the top and you can adjust them a little bit. So I'm going to make it pretty perfect. It doesn't have to be totally perfect. It can be a little askew, and then I'll fill it in. Okay. I don't want any of it going up above where this like horizontal line turns into the triangle. We don't want anything up there. So just right in here, I'm just going to select it on uniform, downsize it a little bit so we can get 5 of them across. So this one's going to be a little bit lower on my center line. We'll go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of it. So slide to the left and hit duplicate. Grab our arrow tool. I'll move one just like up here. Make another duplicate, arrow tool down here. Another duplicate up here with this other one. Another duplicate down to the left. So we just kind of want all 5 of these laid out like so. Then we'll go to our layer menu. Once you like the way they're all laid out, you can snap these 5 together onto one layer. Again, click the layer and click select so that we have that selected. There should be diagonal lines outside of them. And then go back to our main lantern layer. With the diagonal line still on, we'll just grab our arrow tool, and again, you'll see 5 stars that you drag off the screen. And then on your lantern layer, you should see the stars cut out of it. So then we can go and we can delete this stars layer that we created, the white stars. Okay, then we're going to cut out a couple rectangles from this middle area here. So we'll do a similar thing, add a new layer on our layer menu. We have our white color still. Let's grab our selection tool. Set it to rectangle and turn on color fill this time. Okay, we'll zoom in here and I'm just going to create a little skinny rectangle going across like this. Grab our arrow tool. You can resize it if you need to. I might make it even a little skinnier. And then most importantly, with snapping turned on, snap it to the center of our screen from left to right with our vertical yellow line. And we're just going to make probably 3 of those. So let's make a duplicate of this layer on our layer menu. Drag it down a little bit, make another duplicate, drag it down a little bit. So we just want 3 of them there, kind of try to space them evenly apart. And then I want to kind of space them evenly on our rectangle too, so they're a little close to the top of it. So I'm going to go to my layer menu, select all 3 of them by selecting one, sliding right on the other 2, and then I can drag it down a little bit here. Once those are all in order, we'll go to our layer menu, snap those 3 together, click on that layer, click select, and since color fill is turned on, it's not doing the diagonal line thing, so we just need to turn color fill off and then you should see the diagonal lines. Then we can go back to our lantern layer, arrow tool, drag the 3 black stripes off the screen. And then those are now cut out of our lantern layer as well, so we can go and delete this white rectangles layer. Add a new layer, and now we'll do our moon, same white color. We're going to do a little crescent moon up here. So, same white color, same monoline brush. We'll just draw a circle, a perfect circle. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen to make it a perfect circle. Drag and drop to fill it in. Arrow tool on uniform if you need to resize it at all. And we'll just kind of center it here as best we can. And then to get the crescent shape, we will grab our eraser tool also on the monoline brush at 10%. And we will just erase another circle up and to the right. So I'm just going to erase this circle shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, touch my finger to the screen to make it a perfect circle. Click this circle button at the top, and this is where we'll kind of set it. So we want to kind of set it in here so we get a nice crescent moon shape. Like so. So we'll erase all this stuff to the top right. So what we'll have left is this bottom left corner. So just kind of set that to where you like it. If you need to adjust the size of your erased circle, just don't touch on one of the blue dots because that will stretch it out into an ellipse. We still want it to be a circle. So if you just touch in between the 2 blue dots, though, you can resize it. So you can make it bigger or smaller depending on what you need to do to get a good crescent shape. So once that's set, I'll grab my eraser again. I'll up the size a little bit to maybe like 50, and then I'll just carefully erase right next to this line. So real careful right there not to go over it and into my moon shape, and then we'll just erase the rest like so. And then this is what we're left with. So let's go ahead and recenter this now. You can rotate it, resize it, whatever you need to do. I'm going to leave mine here. I'm just going to center it like so. Okay, once again, let's go to our layer menu, click on this new moon layer, click select. You should see your diagonal lines. Go back to your lantern layer, arrow tool. You should see this black moon that you're dragging off the canvas. And now we have a cutout on that layer for our moon. Then we can go ahead and delete our moon layer. So that completes our lantern. So now we just need to add the background and the glow and the handle to it. So let's just go ahead and add the handle first. Since we're here, let's add a new layer to our layer menu. Grab our black color, the first one on the first row. Same monoline brush. Let's increase the size a bit to 30%. And just at the top here, starting kind of right at the top, I'm just going to draw a little oval going this way, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. And then we can click this Edit Ellipse button to adjust it. I want it to just be a skinny little oval. It can kind of stick off the top here a little bit to show that it's like hooked there, and then it's just kind of falling off to the side. But that's how we would kind of pick it up. So I'm just going to kind of set it there where it looks nice. Okay, so then once that's done, let's go ahead and snap some of our lantern layers together. So this main lantern layer, the trees, the bird, and the bushes, let's snap those all together. Our clipping mask is still on top. And then let's go ahead and add a new layer for our glow, and let's drag that behind our lantern layer now. So this is where we'll make our glow. Okay, so then to add our glow on the inside, we're on our layer underneath everything, and this is where we will add it, but we don't want to go outside of our design here, but we are going to use the soft brush, so it kind of has a bigger range. So to make sure we don't touch the outside of our lantern and everything stays inside, what we're going to do is go to our lantern layer, grab our selection tool, set it to automatic. We're going to just tap outside of it. You'll see that turn blue. Then click invert, and then we're selecting everything inside the lantern now. Then we go to our layer menu, switch back to our new layer. So you should see diagonal lines outside of everything, and everything inside should be clear. And now we are drawing underneath it. It won't let us go outside of the line, so that is what we want. So on our new layer underneath everything, let's first just grab our first orange color, the first one on the second row. And let's just first fill this in with this color. Okay, so that's our main color, and now we're going to add everything else around it. I know it looks weird and dark right now, but when our background's in place, it will look way better. So now we're still on this layer. The selection's still on, that's totally fine. But same layer, we're just going to switch our color to this lighter color, the second one on the second row. Switch back to our soft brush under the airbrushing category. Let's just keep that at 10%. And I'm just going to kind of make a lighter, use this lighter color just right through the center here. So push pretty hard, just kind of in the center, kind of let it fade out towards the edges. I'll kind of do the same thing up here and up here. So just kind of all through the center, like so. Then we'll grab our darker color, the third one on the second row, and we'll just kind of add this to the edges just a little bit so that they get a little bit darker. Nothing too crazy there. And then we can go ahead and click to turn our selection off. Okay, and now we can make our background. So let's go to our layer menu. Let's just first set our background color. So on this background color layer at the very bottom, click that to open it up. Set it to the second color on the last row of the color palette. And so as you can see, the lights inside look a lot better now with our darker background color set. Okay, and then we're going to make the ground that this is sitting on. So let's go ahead and add a new layer, drag it to the very bottom of our layers. Let's grab the first color on the last row of the color palette now. Grab our selection tool, set it to rectangle, and turn on color fill. And we are just going to start on the outside bottom left corner, drag and draw to cover our whole bottom area here, just like maybe a little bit up above where our little area comes together at the bottom. Okay, and again, that covers everything. You can't really see much, but we will be able to see it once we add the glow underneath. We'll still be able to see the silhouette of our lantern. Okay, and then now that that's done, I can see just a little bit of my glow peeking out from the edge of my lantern. So I'm going to go back to my glow layer, grab my eraser tool on like 20%, and I'm just going to go around the edge and just erase a little bit all the way around so that there isn't any of that extra glow sticking out. Beautiful. Now let's go back to our ground layer and add the glow to it. So we'll add a new layer right above our little rectangle layer that we created. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. We'll grab our orange colors again. So let's actually start with the darkest one, the third one on the bottom row. We'll grab our soft brush still under the airbrushing category, still at 10%. And we're just going to kind of go out a little ways past each side very, very lightly. And then through the center horizontally like so. Nothing too crazy. Then we'll grab our first color on the middle row of the color palette. Kind of drop our size a little bit to like 7% or so. And we'll just kind of keep this in a little bit more. So just maybe kind of right to the edges. Again, very, very, very lightly. Like so. And then we'll grab our lightest color, the second one on the second row, and very, very, very lightly just add in a teeny bit of that right through the middle there, like so. Okay, so that's a little too bright still. I wanted to use the same colors to make it easy, but then we're just going to lower the opacity of this layer. So on our layer menu, find this layer, click the end to open up our options and just lower the opacity a bit to maybe like 80%. So it's a little bit more faded, but we still get a nice glow there. Awesome, now we just need to add the trees in the background and then we are done. So let's just go ahead and add another new layer, drag that layer behind our two layers that we just created. So at the very, very bottom of our layer menu, grab the third color on the last row of the color palette and switch back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. Set to 50% is good for this. And I am again just going to draw two trees. So I'm going to start at the very edge of my canvas outside on the bottom, draw up, go over, draw up. So it goes off the bottom and top, so then we can just fill it in. Okay, and then off of this, we'll again just kind of make some branches. Some will maybe go off the top of the canvas. And then some will have like arms that you can see. So they'll just come to kind of a point there like that. Okay, so we're going to kind of do some real like wavy branches, make them kind of spooky looking. Okay, we'll kind of have one come from back here. Build that in. Something like that, nothing crazy. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So again, I'll start at the very bottom, off the edge, maybe make it a little thicker, closer to my lantern this time. Okay, and then same thing, make some kind of spooky, wavy branches coming off of it. Okay, so that completes our drawing today. I hope you had fun. I hope that you liked the way that yours turned out. If you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And again, feel free to check out my Patreon, linked in the description below, if you want some extra exclusive tutorials that we have over there. If you'd like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it. So go ahead and post it and then tag me so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching.